So I went to Japan for the first time recently in 2023. I don't know what you may or may not know about a trip of that caliber, but I'll just explain how my experience went. First off, the scope of my Japan trip was limited to Tokyo. Big place, and yeah, I'd have liked to visit outside as well, but I figured I'd go back again, which I do plan to. Duration was around the 2-week frame. I'll be going with a small group of friends. Okay, let's go. Day 1. We ended up with a single layover both ways. Our first layover was over in Chicago. Never been.
Used to like that light feet.
At one point, I even lost my friends. Luckily, I could hear them a mile away. Security honestly made me anxious.
Excuse me, we didn't scan you? I need you to go around and scan again. So hands up in there, let the machine scan you. You're good. You may step out, step out, step out. Go to the next line. Not that. Hey, out of the way, out of the way, out of the way.
I know of the Bulls and Mr. GG, but what else is there? Plenty, I'm sure. But I was confined to the airport. I was told to try a Chicago dog, and there was a hot dog restaurant in the terminal. Check that off my bucket list. It was just the fuel I needed too.
Hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Pretty Sigma.
Come on, it's on!
I don't think he's in. I don't even think he's in yet.
You know, I think there's rules about smuggling reptiles into different
Snakes on entrance. I'm tired of these motherfuckers. Snakes on the
Yeah.
I mean...
Hi, can I see your boarding pass?
Just too cute.
Well, finding our terminal was a mini adventure of itself, huh?
The door's right here.
I know.
Is this guy going out?
He's such a boy.
Yo, just the fucking movement makes while space dragging out there was hilarious.
Wait, do the airport dance, you know, with the sticks.
And then you just see two planes go as they crashed into each other because they were listening to it. It's a...
Yeah, but you know, if you upgrade, that means we gotta pay more.
He's dead.
Technically I'm through, but to me it doesn't look like it. Oh my god, Thomas. Oh.
Alright, here's the big 13-hour plane trip to Tokyo directly.
I like the idea. I see my mom's thing here from the captain. It's like, hey, is that supposed to be doing that?
On the exit row?
I don't know where my mommy is.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to take your seat. We're gonna be taking off soon.
Where's my mom?
That's not my problem, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you to take your seat, please. Sir, that's not a seat. I'm gonna have to ask you. Alright, you can come sit over here by this nice gentleman.
What? No.
Yay! I'm sorry, sir. If you didn't want to sit next to anybody, you should have both seats. Oh no, there's a snake on the plane.
Yeah, I think your cargo's coming out of your
I think there's a film about this.
Our plane ended up having a ton of open seats. And here's the weird thing. Our seats seemed to be in the smack middle of a traveling group of old people. Like they were all from the same group and were hella friendly with each other. I guess due to the amount of free seats, they played musical chairs.
You're not allowed to be here. Oh no. I'm certified.
All throughout the flight. I mean, some were walking around confidently, like they were hosting this flight or something. I just thought it was funny.
Goes by where I am not tempted to return to my inborn nature. Zimkrifhorut se Suyek. What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort?
Also, did you know people legit take up all 3 seats when sleeping? They did. Never knew that before. But hey, they offered some of their food with us, so they were cool.
Proof, they're also lightning proof. I don't know.
I spent most of the time juggling between sleep and actually thinking back. I think that's mostly what I did. They had a bunch of movies and shows on the monitors, but yeah, I think I maybe watched 1 movie.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining
Did the
us today
pilot
on
just
our
say
flight to
Mayday?
Tokyo, Japan. No, everything.
We're at maximum thrust right now. Fair enough, you know what, Ricky, I'm just gonna fly this plane.
Sky, you shouldn't be in the sky just because your name is Sky.
We left Chicago around midday and ended up landing in Japan at like midday the next day.
Don't you dare compromise the integrity of my windshield. I will freaking dive bomb this plane. Did you think I
Our arrival time in Chicago will be 10:45 p.m. Central Time.
Everyone please fasten your seatbelts. This thing is gonna be on fire soon. We're gonna need everyone to go to the back of the Boeing. If you would be so kind, please leave in an orderly fashion. I will contact the ground control shortly. Thank you. As long as it doesn't go through the side window, we'll be fine.
Last weekend?
What are you doing?
Good evening.
What's this do? Just air with the airlock release, just
What are these ones?
Blue, we're on the wrong plane, my friend. We're on the wrong plane.
On that one. I really like that one too.
Oh, you can fall back in. Really such things.
This is what we do on a VRC night. This is what we do on a VRC dance night.
I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Ripping an airplane.
Wearing yellow and black.
Huh?
Fatal, come here.
That's not my kid.
It's time to TV.
Why is it place full of children now?
Wow!
Talented into cartwheels. And he paid 'cause he like how to.
You'll never defeat the human spirit! You'll never defeat God! You'll never win!
We in Japan yet?
We're still on our way to San Francisco.
San Francisco? I'm on the wrong plane!
Okay, this plane ride is a little different from how I remember it going.
What?
As soon as the plane touched down, I could see a bunch of achievements pop on my HUD. A dream I had since high school realized.
Help me!
I'm finally in Japan, I said. Got off the plane and we began the journey through immigration, which actually was pretty damn speedy. My first thoughts walking through the airport were, Okay, Boeing is real, and damn do I wish I spent more time studying my Japanese. Before we could grab our luggage, there was a final line where all visitors seemed to bottleneck. I recognized a few faces from our flight, plus some others. Or maybe they were all from our flight, I don't really know. Fingerprints and photos, check. Grabbed my bags, went through some sliding doors, and boom. I see Miku's face. Advertisements using anime and other familiar characters started to pop up. At this point, I knew exactly where we were in the airport. I'd seen tons of videos of this exact spot and how to get deeper into the city from here. Exchanged our money, grabbed some Suica cards, and we were ready.
The hell is that?
Suica cards were essentially the train passes you could reload. But also they can be used to buy things at certain convenience stores and vending machines. There are vending machines in every corner, super useful.
Tell them about the train.
All right. So a few nights before, I wanted to order a taxi to take us directly from the airport to our hotel, or at least to the nearest station. The reason was that our flight finished around the evening rush hour. I did not want to be that one person with a giant checked luggage in rush hour. My companions actually wanted to experience it, and it was too late. I had to go through with it. We took the monorail to the connecting station. The monorail did have space for luggage, but as expected, it was a little crowded.
This is Japanese lunchtime rush!
As we got closer and closer to our station, more people piled inside. I was getting nervous since now it seemed harder and harder to get to an exit and to retrieve our luggage. Eventually, our station came, and it was actually the end of the line, so all got off. Wow. The station was a rush of people. It was waves and waves of lines and suitcases and folks in suits. We navigated our way through the flows and waves and ended up in the platform we needed. I wasn't sure which side of the train we needed, so I just pulled up my map's compass and took the train heading in the direction of the hotel. I felt awkward with my luggage on the train, but I did my best to take up the least amount of space. Anyway, our stop eventually came, and we exited the station. Akihabara Station. Yes, I've seen this in Persona, I'm sure. It was such a sight. The lights, the anime ads, and the distant cafes and restaurants I could see. My mind was bugging me to go try this and go buy stuff there, making mental notes as I walked down the street in awe. I'm really glad I don't play Genshin Impact because if I did, I think my wallet would be hurting right now.
How dare you!
Our hotel was located in a sort of a back alley location. But the hotel itself was new and pretty nice. Okay, I have to interact with people using my Japanese now. I walked up to the counter. Hello? I have a reservation. I defaulted in English. Force of habit, I guess. What you'll notice is folks will completely understand you, or go through the motions, but reply to you in Japanese completely. Not here, though. They spoke some English. I checked us in, so off to the rooms, and boy, were the rooms small. At first. Knowing what I know now, those rooms were quite spacious. I didn't plan anything that first day since I figured we'd be dead from traveling. It was near 9 p.m. by then. I wanted to stop by the 711 and buy the snacks I keep hearing about. I quickly filled up my basket with goods and that strawberry sandwich. Yummy. Then I realized, how do I pay for this? I have yen, but, I can't do maths. I approached the cashier and handed my basket over. I've rehearsed this before. Say no to the point card thing, yes to the bag, etc. The cashier said something to me, then pointed to a bag. I nodded my head. Wongai shimasu. Placed my cash on the tray and a receipt and change replaced it. Okay, crisis averted, I'd thought. If I'm unable to do anything this trip, at least I'll have 7-Eleven food to survive. Rest of the night was pretty quiet, so I went to bed and readied for day 2. Day 2. We were already in Akiabara, so this was today's destination. I marked on my map all the famous spots. Since most places didn't open until after 11, we checked out the local shrine. Charms and other souvenirs were available, and a lot of it was super interesting to look at. Locals were bowing and praying, which to me was cool to observe. The shrine outfits were adorable, and I picked up a few souvenirs. Once 11 rolled around, I ate at this Donberry place. It used a ticket machine system, so you actually order your food from that, grab the ticket, then go inside. Pretty seamless. I did notice tons of people in suits walking around all hours of the day, especially during lunch. I ordered based off a picture alone, so couldn't tell you what it was, but boy, was it delicious. Not having to pay tip is something I'll definitely miss from Japan.
No tip necessary, sir.
Afterwards, shopping commenced. So you'll notice a lot of these anime merchandise shops are actually secondhand goods. Many of them seem to carry the same products and charge differently for them. Some such as animate display cases filled with other people's anime figures, thus allowing people to buy their figurines at different prices. I bought a Join and Luffy figure this way. It seemed pretty cheap. I had regrets bringing an empty suitcase with me, but after one day shopping, I was actually worried that may not have been enough. Every shop I went to there was something I wanted. No, needed. If there's a currently airing anime with a specific character you like, you're in trouble. For me, that was Maki from Jujutsu Kaisen. She was everywhere, and I was then required to buy stuff. I got this one figure of her where she's holding up a giant brush instead of her weapon. Pretty sick. Something else that's new to me is how these stores were all set up. Every store seemed to be multi-floored, each floor catering to a different specificity. Ground floor could be phone stuff, second anime goods, third trains, fourth cards, fifth adult stuff, sixth floor a cafe, and seventh an event floor. Usually that's the spread. Yeah, I bought a lot of stuff.
Man, what is all this stuff?
Day 3, Shinjuku, I heard, is probably the most dangerous part of Tokyo. Along with Roppongi.
Roppongi!
We started the day by going to Shinjuku Gyon first thing in the morning, a beautifully green park. We took a small detour to a nearby shrine, since we were a couple minutes before the park opened.
I dropped your phone.
Afterwards, we headed into Shinjuku for some sightseeing. I went to Ichiran Ramen and look, controversial opinion here. The ramen is actually so good. Stop hating people for liking it. It's really good. Probably one of my favorite foods during the trip, actually. My feet were killing me. I made sure to bring comfortable shoes, but I ended up getting blisters on my feet. I decided to look for a karaoke place to sit down and rest for a bit. While checking for one, someone approached me on the street. The stranger asked me if I wanted beautiful. No, thank you. I found a karaoke place, but they had zero accommodation for English speakers. We communicated through pointing and Google Translate. I had to fill out some forms I knew very little about, but we got our room. The room was more depressing than I remembered from anime, but we enjoyed the break. We were planning to stay up late tonight with bar hopping and Golden Guy in mind. That really cool old school look of the back alley bar. And Golden Guy was pretty much that. Tons and tons of mini bars, with literally like 6 or 7 seats each. You should know I'm not really a bar person, but since I'm here, I couldn't not try it. We went into a few bars, each with a different theme. The first one seemed to imitate an 80s American vibe. There's also a cover fee for just entering since you do occupy the limited space. These bars were so small, but they somehow made them work. Lots of foreigners are seen in this area. It was interesting hearing about other people's journeys and experiences so far.
I got an elder on there. 3 times tequila.
I was introduced to a gin and tonic. I like the drink now. Thanks, Golden Guy. Oh. Day 4. There's this really old-looking town with a local market in Yamada. Took a bit of a scenic route through a graveyard and residential area. The sidewalks often are just the streets themselves. It honestly was fun to just walk around the area seeing the vistas I'd only ever seen in anime. But now they're in front of me in real life. The market itself was super cozy. We also checked out Ueno Park, which wasn't far. Lots more shrines and nature stuff here. It was raining, so the views were extra special. I decided to eat lunch at a place called Monster Steak. Giant steaks and beer mugs. That was pretty good, and the service in Japan is top-notch.
Yeah. Drinking.
We got it. All right, let's go.
They had an English menu, but when in doubt, just point to what you want.
Just
Here you
stand
go,
there, come
Glue.
on.
Here's your burger.
Glue's getting hungry. I need to judge Glue while they eat.
On the walk back to the hotel, it seemed the city was quiet. Sure, trains were in the distance, but it was the first time I felt truly alone. We had to take a detour due to construction, and you won't believe what we found.
Just say a little prayer, get your money, man. Life goes on.
I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this.
Day 5. Ginza, the shopping district. Every single area is so different. Ginza was where all the fashion brands like Gucci and Bape were at. This was also where we checked out the Fish Art Museum. They were so sparkly. The lighting and the whole atmosphere was a vibe.
お腹だけどうなんだこいつら。面白いな。
Highly recommend you go here once. After the gift shop, we went to a famous ramen shop close by. I don't need to tell you how great that was. We walked around the blocks of Ginza, checking out the views from their rooftops. There was a Star Wars pop-up shop in one place even. There was also a Pokemon Center in Ginza. To enter the Pokemon Center, you had to take an elevator. This elevator was tiny and hidden from the main road. There's also very little branding or signs near the elevator, so you're never sure if it's the right one. Anyway, we got off to the 5th floor to see a giant statue of Pokemon. Right floor. But boy, was the floor packed. How did so many people find the elevator? I swear, Japan's elevators and floors are like pocket dimensions. I don't understand how everyone finds these places. That was cool to see. I don't collect the cards, though. And they didn't have a Scyther plushie, so I didn't end up getting anything. For dinner, we had the pleasure of eating at this restaurant that specialized in Hokkaido cuisine. Hokkaido are known for their superb milk. They had an assortment of cheeses that came with a pan and burner where you fry them straight from your table. I can't possibly tell you how immaculate this was. I am going to Hokkaido. Holy shit, this was the best cheese I've ever eaten in my entire life. It paired with some charcoal broiled chicken that had a deep flavor. My life points were restoring. That was the greatest meal I've had in Japan so far. Day 6. Roppongi is today's destination. Think of you and a special someone toasting wine in a restaurant overlooking the night city. That was the vibe. City-like and lots of businesses. We first checked out an art museum with paintings instead of fish. The museum itself had tons of people, but it was so quiet. This is not how I imagine a museum in America to sound like. I was genuinely surprised. After a bit more aimless wandering, we found the spider statue. Pretty cool. We went to Sensoji Temple next. This area is the place to go if you're a tourist. Wow. The view of the street market stalls leading to the giant temple. The side streets were so cinematic, I wanted to stop time to take photos of the place. The sun was setting, so the lights started to turn on. I threw in 100 yen to get my fortune read. It was not looking good. I tied my fortune hoping it would get better. We then headed to Gonpachi Nishi Azabu, which was an izakaya where Kill Bill was shot at. Pretty famous location, lots of yelling inside. This place had the most foreigners, both as customers and employees. Everyone spoke English here. And God, was it a lively crowd. People cheering and laughing. I couldn't help but smile on the inside. We each got a course with different tasty foods. We also ordered something that's normal to izakayas. All you can drink. I drank probably the most I've ever drank. Ever. My vision was blurred and the walk to the restroom was very, very wobbly. I don't remember everything, but it was fun. Yeah, I this stuff. Jesus. Day 7. Shibuya is the place you probably think of when picturing Tokyo. It's almost like a combination of everywhere we visited before but all into one. The Hachiko statue was here, and this place was crowded as hell. I was at Shibuya Crossing, you know the one from Tokyo Drift? Lost in Translation? Yeah, this was the most crowded place on my trip. Literal sea of people somehow navigating around each other. We wandered off a bit from the main area to the more deserted part of the inner city. Found another shrine. It was peaceful and kinda amazing. It was quiet despite still being in Shibuya. We went to the Capcom/Jump/Nintendo store afterwards, located once again on a higher level of some mall building. I was once again cursed with seeing some merchandise of Maki, so I caved in. I don't really play Nintendo games, but it was really cool to see all of the Mario and Splatoon stuff. There was even a gamer cafe on the same floor.
So, what'd you do? What the fuck, Connie?
It was getting close to 5 p.m., which is typically when bars and other nightlife stuff started to open. We headed to the SG Club, which was a world-renowned bar Sky recommended to me. Thanks, Sky. We were one of the first to get in, and good thing, too. The bar filled up quickly. The bar itself had a sort of 19th century look to it. The staff all wore incredibly cool outfits and spoke perfect English. Actually, everyone inside seemed to be a foreigner wanting to experience the place. The drinks were on point. I don't really drink, but I even have to give credit here. The menu was unique and had all sorts of ingredients I'm not used to seeing, like vinegar or elderflower. I first went with their Tohoku gin and tonic. Superb. Absolutely just the right amount of zazz I wanted. Bombay Sapphire, hop, dobuboku, vinegar, elderflower tonic. Perfection. The next drink I ordered was their rum and cola without cola. Bacardi, their secret cola recipe, and citrus. Simple, but oh so good. Every time we ordered something, a bartender would go through the history and run through the details of the drink, like a show. Guys, it was so fantastic I felt like I was in the coolest bar in Tokyo. Highly recommend you try their drinks. After a few hours there, we started to head back toward the main part of Shibuya. By this time, I was pretty loopy, since normally one drink is all it takes to kill me. We went to an upper floor of what seemed like a pyramid made of glass. A mall, I suppose. This was the robot cafe you may have heard of before. It's true it's mainly robots, but there actually were some human staff as well. We followed a robot to our booth, and there, positioned directly in front of everyone, was a stationary robot. Pepper. Pepper would stare at you, shifting their gaze between people almost reactionary to movement. To be honest, it was a little off-putting. My friends tried asking Pepper stupid questions like Skynet and taking over the world. It wasn't exactly ChatGPT responsive, more like Siri with Google-like responses. Our food and drinks were delivered via a robot. I liked the gimmick. It was reasonably priced food and cute enough to be a cafe in the middle of this mall. Pretty cool. The finale for tonight was Shibuya Sky, an observation deck overlooking Shibuya. Experience this one once in your lifetime. Day 8. Nothing really planned today. It was our last full day in Japan, so we wanted to make it count. Yes, I also went to a maid cafe. At the time I was thinking, well, I'm here. I may as well experience it once, right? Wrong, it was an experience all right. Once again, most maid cafes are located on a random floor of some unmarked building. I found one and entered the elevator. It was really small, and my claustrophobia was acting up. Upon opening, there was a pink wall and small counter within frame. Two of my friends who braved the adventure with me stepped forward. I decided to stay in the elevator and wait. Eventually, you guessed it, maid comes and begins to explain something to them. They're huddled around the counter, so I figured it's safe for me to exit now. As I go through the elevator doors, they actually start to close on me. They actually closed on me. There's no punchline here. I was being squashed by the elevator doors. Everyone seemed too busy to notice me dying, except for one guy sitting at a counter. We made eye contact, and I was honestly embarrassed. I held back the elevator doors and Spider-Maned myself through. Note: the doors did not open once it felt my presence. It was actively trying to close on me. It did not open again. I could have died, and I'm sure that was a safety hazard, but again, nobody but that dude noticed, so I played it off. By the time I joined my friends, we were being escorted to our table.
I'm gonna overdose on sugar today.
Are you wondering about our selections of, I'll read this real quick.
I hear a bell ring, and all of a sudden, distant voices begin to cry out. I'm sure it was something of "Welcome home, master," but I honestly was still recovering from the elevator death trap. We sit down and get a moment to take in our surroundings.
Any drink? Any snack? Or me?
Is this the place playing Future Punk, or is
I love it.
I like it.
I'm playing some stuff. No, she joined like right.
Glad you could join me here, Glue. I didn't even call you. You just picked up on my telepathic empathy.
So I saw Sky for like 2 minutes.
You can have my Sunday as you wait. I didn't give you anything.
Isn't this uploaded already or no?
Pretty small place, a stage, and yes, plenty of maids wandering about. I check out the menu and notice the prices. One maid stops by and explains to us about the hourly fee to just be in the cafe. Alright, 1 hour is okay to start. Since we came shortly after they opened, she also explained how food wasn't available until about 40 minutes later. Well, we wanted to eat breakfast here, but the Plan B restaurant seemed better and better as time passed. After a few minutes, she returned, saying how there was big trouble with our orders.
Are you guys enjoying your stay at the maid cafe? Are the waitresses, are the maids, doing their best to satisfy your needs?
Yeah.
Yes?
Can I get a box?
Okay. For what?
Did you just?
Is that your answer for what? I'm the customer.
Yes.
Gosh darn it! I just need a box.
None of the fizzy drinks worked. So all of the soda and alcoholic drinks couldn't be served for some reason. I wasn't exactly sure what she was saying, but we ended up ordering tea or something.
False advertising, so it's obviously not illegal, right? And thank you for my box.
It's either pay the receipt or...
Or what?
Here's your burger.
Oh, hell no, man. What the...
Wait, wrong person?
You just took a bite out of my burger and inserted it to the wrong person?
What the heck? You notice that all the items on our menu are free, but we do accept tip. And we rely on the generosity of our customers to continue.
And it better be free after you're sampling my burger.
I later found out the guy who saw me dying and everyone else in the counter seats were customers as well. For some reason, I assumed they were employees since they had on animal ears. Turns out those were presents you can buy from the maids.
Where did your friend go?
I don't have any friends.
He was right here. Where'd he go? He didn't pay his receipt. He didn't pay.
Hallucination.
Someone ordered a performance which includes the privilege of taking a photo. Oh yeah, no photos or videos unless you pay for it, so that's why I'm not sharing anything. One of the maids took center stage while another took the DJ booth. The lights went dark while disco lights came up. Music started to blast as she began her dance. Look, I get it. It's early in the morning and you do this who knows how many each day. But from my amateur dancer perspective, it looked like she wasn't having fun. It was a simple dance. Nothing too crazy. Everyone cheered and clapped. I clapped as well, though my buddies seemed to quickly realize how this was not for them. After the performance, another maid went along each customer's table to ask for tips or something. My table had a small huddle of, okay, after our tea or whatever, let's bounce and eat at that restaurant Glue mentioned before. A maid came by and delivered the beers and soda we originally ordered. A little confused, I guess the trouble was resolved. We weren't charged for the tea we ordered anyway. We finished our drinks and browsed the menu. A new maid came to our table and started to ask us some questions about where we were from. That was probably the most enjoyable part of the cafe. It was great to speak to someone trying to learn English since the rest of us were trying to improve our Japanese. After our hour was up, we got up to pay. We called the elevator and went in. The last thing I remember was seeing an array of maids bowing as the doors closed. Maid cafes are scary. We split off, so I went to resume my Akiabara shopping. This is when I actually found my favorite Maki figure. The basement of one of the random anime goods stores. Success! As I shopped throughout the day, night quickly fell. A friend had a massive craving for eel, so I found a place on the restaurant floor of Yodobashi Camera. Eel is very yummy. The broth that comes with it was a perfect pairing. I finished every bite. It was a perfect last meal to a great trip. Day 9. I had a dream I was stuck in an airport mall looking for something that does not exist. What does this dream mean? Maybe time will tell. I finally packed my bags and headed toward the station. I picked the least crowded one, hoping it was enough that we were going outside of rush hour to avoid people. Going inside the train cart with the designated space for strollers seemed to be the least intrusive one. From there, we connected to the Skyliner, which I originally thought was the bullet train, but sadly it wasn't. It was fairly quick though. We reached Narita Airport and that was the last time we'd step outside of Japan. We had to go through the process of leaving. It was super speedy, the lines were non-existent really, and signs and plenty of staff to direct us to our destination. We reached our terminal like 2 hours early from boarding, so I grabbed some breakfast at McDonald's. I ordered the one-piece burger, and that was different. Tasty. I bought those banana cake things at the duty-free shops for gifts. By the time I got back, more folks were waiting at our terminal. It was going to be a full flight, and we were boarding Party 4. Quite different from our flight into Japan, so I was getting worried we wouldn't have any carry-on space left. Once we started to line up, I was asked if I wanted to check my bag in, and I decided I should since who knows how crowded it was. It was indeed crowded, but amazingly the cabin space above my seat was empty. What a waste. But I'd find out later not having my luggage with me was a good thing. This flight was definitely full, and of course there was the crying baby in my section. I closed my eyes and just listened to music for pretty much most of the trip. It's true what they say.
What do they say?
Return trips are faster. We arrived at Newark Airport for our 2-hour layover. Okay, let me explain. We have 2 hours until our flight from Newark leaves. We step outside the gate to find Newark is a bit of a mess. Compared to Narita, at least, we were greeted with the escalator going up, broken. Okay, bad sign. We eventually funnel into a big space with a long zig-zagging line leading into bag pickup. We had to go through customs, pick up our bags, check them in again, then go through security, and then take a shuttle to our correct terminal. In 2 hours. This did not look good. 45 minutes went by and we were still in line. I couldn't make out why the line was taking so long until I got a little closer toward the end and could see there was one agent processing everyone. This line is supposed to be for citizens since those are faster checks, but they mixed us with visitors as well. Why Newark? I don't understand. We had less than an hour after we all got through that mess. When it was my turn, it was literally a 10-second check too. We rushed to grab our luggage. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I forgot one of my bags filled with my spare glasses on my last plane. There was nothing they could do, so I had to fill out an online lost item form. Great. Rip my prescription sunglasses, I guess.
No time!
We grabbed our bags and ended up in this weird big room. Okay. There weren't really any signs directing us to where we needed to go. I know there were people from our flight also complaining how they had connecting flights they'd miss with the line too. We found a few familiar faces from our last flight heading in the same direction, and that led us to the bag check-in thing. We dropped off our bags and kept heading in the same direction. We eventually made it to the main entrance of the airport. Okay, now we had to go through security, I guess. We found a security line, but it didn't seem right, so we asked if it was where we needed to go for our connecting flight. The employee had a dead face and sort of just side-eyed us. She pointed to another staircase, so whatever, we rushed away. We found the security line to be pretty long. There was no way we'd make the flight. They were boarding already, and we still had to take a shuttle to the terminal after all of this. After security, we headed toward the direction of the terminal stuff. This is what actually pissed me off. There were zero signs for where the transfer is located to take the shuttle. We once again just ended up following other confused-looking passengers to a random ass corner, where an escalator led to a shuttle. The shuttle left as soon as we hopped on. The driver actually messed up the turn, so we had to back up to correct the turn. I saw on my flight app that the plane we were trying to catch was now taxiing. I'm pretty sure I saw it as the shuttle bus drove near the runway. We finally headed to our terminal, but alas, our plane was gone. Oh, and don't forget my bag with glasses are gone too. I checked and it seemed there was one flight left that day going to the same place. That one leaves in just under an hour. We went to the airline counter. We found crew who were supposed to be on the flight we missed were also trying to get aboard the incoming flight as well. Okay, so the delays throughout the airport seem to be universal and everyone is screwed. Luckily, we were able to get the final seats on the incoming flight. Newark, do better. That flight eventually ended and we arrived in familiar waters. I just wanted to grab my luggage to confirm I wasn't losing anything else. Once I physically had my luggage with me, I knew it was over. We catched a ride and drove off into the night. What a terrible ending to a great vacation. Could have been worse, I suppose. Japan was a blast, and even though I spent it in Tokyo alone, I can honestly say it's a great place. The people, the food, the efficiency of transportation are all great. Vending machines are everywhere and they all have different offerings. You can also use your Suica cards to pay for them, so it's super convenient. I wish the States had more of these. The lack of trash cans were noticeable, but honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. Immediately you'll notice how clean the streets of Japan are. Like, really clean. You don't see trash on the side of the road. It's impressive. I mentioned this before, but please bring comfortable shoes. The ground often has the sticking out portion which hurts to step on if you're not careful. You'll be fine not knowing any Japanese, to be honest. Just remember to bow and smile. Take it from this introvert. The yen being cheaper than the dollar was such a blessing. Like, bro, do you know how much I bought since everything was cheaper? Go to Japan while it's down. In the States, visiting a city, you may find a lot of trash or homeless people. While in Tokyo, instead of that, you find people dressed up in maid outfits trying to get you to go to their clubs. What I'd do differently is definitely pack lighter. I brought way more clothes than I needed. Also, the hotel had a laundry service which I used. I would have gotten away with bringing way less. Also, shoes. I probably want to bring more comfortable shoes. My NMDs were okay, but my feet still hurt after each day's end. I do plan on going again, but not only in Tokyo. I want to explore the countryside too.